Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Conversations from the Bench. I'm your host, Talal, and we are going to get into all things NFL, NBA, and WNBA. We're just going to jump right into it here. The NBA playoffs are upon us, and we have a lot of really interesting matchups. I got to say, we've got Cavaliers Heat as the first one. Miami always gives people a problem, and I wouldn't be surprised if they gave the Cavaliers a little run for their money. I do think Cleveland's just going to come right out and be able to, maybe 6 games, maybe 5 games. I think they'll be able to take care of business, but never count out Miami and what Eric Spoelstra can really do with that team. Next, we have Pacers Bucks. This happened last year, right? Indiana went right to the Eastern Conference Finals, faced off against the Celtics. This is an interesting matchup. It's the 4-5 matchup. And Milwaukee's had trouble with Indiana. Indiana's offense is always very high powered, very high octane, difficult offense. The Celtics said that the Pacers were the hardest team they had to face last year. So that's one to keep an eye on. I would not be surprised if Indy beats Milwaukee. I mean, other than Giannis and Damian Lillard, I think the Bucks have had like a mediocre season. I think they were looking to be more competitive than they ended up being. So I'm gonna pick Indy with that one. Knicks Pistons. This is gonna be fun because the Pistons were dragged through the mud last year, right? They were dragged through the mud for just not being able to win games. That Wingstop promotion really lost them a lot of money last year. The Knicks have not been able to beat any high-level teams. Your OKCs, your Clevelands, your Boston. They haven't been able to do that all year. But this is not of that caliber. This is Detroit. I think Detroit can make it interesting, but they're a young team. They really don't have quite enough to match up with New York. New York has their defenders. I mean, you put Josh Hart on Cade Cunningham, and I think that that eliminates a big part of that Detroit offense. So I think it's going to be interesting, though. I think that I'll go Knicks in that one, but I think the Pistons can make them fight for it a bit, for sure. And Celtics Magic. If you know me, ladies and gentlemen, I am a big Celtics fan, and we might talk a little bit more about them on this show, just a fair warning. I have a lot of respect for the Orlando Magic. I know Banchero was out a lot this year, or at least for a chunk of the year, and they've had some injuries to deal with, but I think the Celtics are going to take care of it when they're locked and loaded and they're ready to, get into the playoffs. They have their mind focused on it. I think they can take care of Orlando. They might drop a game, maybe they drop like a game 3 or something. That's usually the game I look for teams to drop, but I think they'll be fine. It really, to me, with the Celtics run, depends on Jaylen Brown's knee. He's had some knee troubles, and they've been giving him some cortisone shots in his knee. So it really depends what's going to happen there with him. I think that if he can kind of play through it and he can be close to the normal Jaylen Brown that we know, I think that it's very possible that the Celtics can go very far and make a very deep run this year. West, let's talk about the West. Thunder Grizzlies. I mean, the Thunder are going to win that, but I think the Grizzlies can fight and claw a little bit. They don't have Taylor Jenkins anymore. We know that, and that was a very end of the year firing. That was kind of crazy. The Thunder are going to go through there. Can the Thunder make a deep run? That's going to remain to be seen. I think they have tools to do it. I think that they're kind of young, though. They're pretty young, and on top of that, if you shut down SGA, I think it becomes a little harder for them, but I think that they have an absolute opportunity here to make a very deep run. It really comes down to matchups. We saw it last year. They couldn't match up well with Dallas. It gave them a really hard time. I think it's going to come down to who can they match up best with in these playoffs, and do they have enough switchability to go between players with like multiple scorers if you were like the Lakers, right? Which we'll get to the Lakers in a second. And we've got Nuggets, Clippers. This is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be a close one. I think they're pretty even just in terms of neither team is like wow to me. I think they're They both kind of had like pretty solid seasons. I think if you're the Nuggets, you may have had like a disappointing season, right? If you're the Clippers, I think you've had a pretty solid season. You lost Paul George, you're trying to retool. Kawhi was healthy this year. So I think if you're the Clippers, you're like, all right, I'll take the 5 seed. If you're the Nuggets, I think you're kind of disappointed. I mean, that team won a title a few years ago, and it's just been roster subtractions, right? And then their coach got fired as well, and Calvin Booth, their general manager, got fired. I don't think he did a good job with this team. I think he let way too many people walk. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope walked, which was a big defensive piece for them. Bruce Brown walked, which was also a big defensive piece for them. And I don't think that they were able to really recover. I think they should have found a way to maybe figure out those contracts or find suitable replacements for that. Lakers Timberwolves. This is going to be cool. Anthony Edwards, right? Anthony Edwards is the engine that makes the Timberwolves go. The problem is he's the only engine that makes the Timberwolves go. The Lakers have Jared Vanderbilt, if he's healthy and ready to go, which I believe he is. Then you can throw him on Anthony Edwards and see what can happen there. The Lakers obviously have Doncic, they have LeBron, they have scorers between those two guys. They don't have a big, but the Wolves have Rudy. I think Rudy has a bad tendency to not really show up when he needs to be. He's not like your rough and tumble center. He's not really going to get down and dirty with that. But I think that's going to be a really cool series because if Rudy can somehow dominate the paint, I think he can give the Lakers a hard time. But I think ultimately the Lakers just have too much scoring. I don't think the Timberwolves have enough. I think they made a bad decision trading Towns. They needed to just add another scorer to that core last year, and I think they could have been even better. But by deciding to trade Towns, I think they've taken a big step back this year, and I think it's pretty disappointing if you're a Minnesota fan. You were close last year. Just you were on like a really good trajectory, and they just decided to kind of blow it up a little bit, and that's very disappointing. Rockets Warriors. Rockets have had a really good season. They're number 2 in the West. West, as we know, is super competitive, and they've done a really good job of just being able to, play through their young guys. They're a young team. They've got a lot of draft picks. Amen Thompson has had a great year. They have obviously Green is out there. They have all these other guys out there, and they've gone from kind of being this young team, this upstart that didn't really know Jalen Green, was kind of like this very raw talent, and they're really rounding out into this really good, formidable basketball team. And it's nice to see playoff basketball back in Houston. I'm sure that they're excited that it's back as well. And the Warriors, again, man, you just can't really knock them down. They have Jimmy Butler, which has been really good for them. Honestly, he's worked out really well for that team, and it ended up being a great trade for the Warriors to make. So I don't think you can count them out. I just don't. I mean, as long as Steph is dribbling a basketball, there's just not a chance that you can look at Golden State and be like, they're dead in the water. No, man, they're scary. As long as that man has a basketball in his hand, they are terrifying. And now they have another threat with Butler. As long as that team stays healthy, I think that series could be really interesting because, again, the Rockets are young. Right now they're young and now they're trying to figure it all out still in the playoffs, and you have a really, really experienced Warriors team. So that's going to be very cool, I think, to see. So the NBA, best time of year for the NBA. Of course, this is awesome. And we're getting into warmer weather up here, and we're getting into really good basketball, competitive basketball. I think you're going to see like a Celtics Cavaliers Eastern Conference final, to be honest with you. And I think that you're going to see, where are we here? I think you could realistically see a Lakers Thunder Western Conference final. I do believe the Lakers can go pretty far. Again, it really depends on matchups. It really does. It's such a coin toss sometimes in the playoffs because it's not just like these one-off games. It's you're sitting watching film and now you're able to figure out what the weaknesses are. So it's very much a toss-up. I do think that hopefully we'll see the Celtics in the finals. I think the league would love a Celtics-Lakers final, right? But I don't know if the basketball gods are going to get us there. We'll see what they have to say about that, I think. Let's talk about the WNBA. I am a huge WNBA fan. I grew up a WNBA girly. I did a report when I was in about second or third grade on Tamika Catchings. I've always watched the WNBA. It's meant a lot to me. I followed Candace Parker's career, Lisa Leslie's career. I read Lisa Leslie's book. I mean, that league is awesome, and it's so exciting to see it grow. Now, they've had a really good last two. Well, this is now year two of this, but they've had a lot of growth, right? And we have that new team in Golden State, the Valkyries, which is super exciting. They just drafted their first draft pick this past draft. Which it was interesting how the W did this, because usually if you have a new franchise, I think you'd want the number one pick to go to that franchise to generate buzz. They didn't do that. Instead, the number one pick, Paige Bueckers, went to Dallas. Dallas needed some juice, right? Dallas had a really bad year last year. There's not really. I think they're looking for another star now that Luka's gone, and I think Paige Bueckers can be that for them. Paige Bueckers last year, almost 20 points a game, 19.9, 4 rebounds, 4.6 assists. I mean, 53% from the field, 41% from three, about 89% from the line. I mean, what else can you say about her? She's a 6-foot guard from UConn. She scored, I believe it was 40 points in this tournament in one of the games. She has done it all. I mean, to me, she was Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark. They came out in the same class, but what Paige unfortunately happened is she tore her ACL, and then Caitlin Clark kind of took off in this upward trajectory, and now Paige is had that extra year because of her torn ACL, and now she's showing out, and she's like, I'm here, I'm still here. So now in the league, we're gonna have Caitlin Clark, we have Angel Reese, and we have Paige Bueckers, and on top of that, we're gonna have this awesome guard play between Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers, and you're gonna have like Sabrina Ionescu is in there, Chelsea Gray is in there. You're just gonna have very competitive guard play. It's a very competitive league. You're gonna Kelsey Plum. I mean, she got traded, right? Like she left Vegas and she went to the Sparks, actually, and that's gonna be really cool because the Sparks also just really needed a lot of help. I mean, pretty much bottom of the standings along with Dallas. Would have been really interesting to see Paige over there as well, big market, things like that. But, you know, they do have Cameron Brink. She's coming off an ACL tear. That's going to be really fun to watch her and Kelsey Plum kind of have that two-man game, right? I mean, Cameron Brink was super productive when she was healthy and she was playing, and I think now you can kind of round out that team. You have a veteran guard. You have a big going into her second year. And of course, you have the New York Liberty. New York Liberty won that title last year, and they won it really. Like, it got down to the wire. It was really something. If you guys watched that, it was something. It didn't really matter to me who won. I just wanted a good game. I mean, there's no team up here in Boston, so I just like to watch the games and just root for good basketball. And the W is always good basketball. It's always been good basketball. Really good, clean, fundamental, exciting stuff. Minnesota at one point was winning all those titles with Maya Moore, who's like GOAT status, out there. And it was a really good finals. I believe this year they're switching to a 7-game format. So, you get a WNBA final, go in 7 games. Now you're talking like the NBA has suffered a little bit of like ratings downfall, and I think people are just looking at the WNBA and going, wow, this is more competitive, this is more interesting. We're getting these girls in college for 4 years, and we're getting to know them, and now we're able to watch them in the WNBA, and you've established like this connection with the audience, with the viewer, of like this story of this player. I mean, the next big player that we were, aware of was Juju Watkins, right? Like, she was like the really big name. She's going to break Caitlin's records. Juju Watkins, unfortunately, tore her ACL in the tournament. She's probably out next year, so she'll probably get an extra year as well if she wants to take it, of eligibility. She's going to be also, if she can bounce back from that ACL, she's going to be really good. Really fun to watch. Already was really fun to watch. She was in her sophomore year. So that's going to be super exciting. The W is on such a fun trajectory. They have a Portland team coming up, I believe next year. And then the year after, they have Toronto, the Toronto Tempo. I could be getting those two mixed up, but those teams are coming. And they're looking to expand even more. And it's just always been so exciting to watch to watch these women play and to watch just how this game is growing. I mean, it's beautiful. And now you have a team in Indy, right? You have Caitlin Clark last year that was there, and in her rookie year, and she put up numbers. It took her a little bit, right? But I mean, it would take any rookie, any amount of time to get the groove. And these ladies don't have a lot of time in between the college season and in between the start of the WNBA season. So it took her a little bit, but I think, they have a new coach coming over from Connecticut, and I think that they can really make a run. I think they've got good pieces now. They have experience. They've got a different coach who I think can use Caitlin in a different way. I think that they're gonna surprise people, make a bit of a run, which would be super interesting, super fun. I mean, imagine like Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu in like a playoff scenario. Oh, it's just so exciting. I mean, these women are awesome, and they really put it all out there. So it's gonna be super fun to see. Um, while we talk about that, we've got a lot of good basketball. Let's talk a bit about the NFL. The NFL draft, because we can't forget about the NFL. The NFL draft is coming up, and it is going to be very exciting to see what happens there. I mean, we're talking the number one overall pick, Cam Ward, right? Cam Ward had about 4,000 yards last year. He had about 7 interceptions, if I'm correct. Cam Ward is going to be super interesting to see what happens there because after him, some people have an idea of what's going to go on, but I don't know if we really have an idea of what's going to go on. I mean, we have Cam Ward goes number one. The rumor is, you get maybe Travis Hunter to Cleveland at number 2. You get Abdul Carter to the Giants at number 3. You have your edge rusher. And now you have number 4. And my New England Patriots are at number 4. And the need is Will Campbell, is offensive tackle. But you don't draft for need. Is he the best player available? I don't know. I've heard like mixed things. I've heard a lot of Patriots fans kind of just resign themselves to being like, all right, Will Campbell, whatever. But is Ashton Jeanty the best player available? Do you get a package and trade back? And is Tet McMillan now maybe at like 9 or something, or however far you trade back and pick up an extra pick? Is that who you go for? There's the Golden who came out of Texas. Do you draft him? You need to leave this draft with another receiver. We know that. It's very important that happens. But we don't know what round it'll happen. It could happen in like the second round. It doesn't need to be the first round. It could be that they draft a tackle in the second round and draft a receiver in the first round. I think the Patriots can go a lot of different ways. I think it's really going to come down to what that day looks like for them. But to be quite honest with you, I think it's pretty set. I think it's going to go Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. Those are your top 3. And after that, I really just have no idea what's going to happen. It's not a strong draft. It's a really weak draft. Last year was the draft, right? And I'm so happy that the Patriots got their quarterback last year. And I'm sure Commanders fans are happy, and Bears fans are happy they got their quarterbacks last year because there's just you have like Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers, I think, is in this draft. It's just like it's not a super strong draft. It's fine. It's and Cam Ward is a good quarterback. Would he have gone number 1 in last year's draft? No. But this draft it's a weaker draft. It's after the top 3. I mean, anything can really happen. It would be kind of wise to trade down a little bit. If you can still get, let's say, your offensive tackle you want or the receiver you want, trade down from 4, pick up an extra pick or 2, and then continue to build out your roster that way. I mean, if you're the Patriots, that's what you want to do, right? There are so many holes to fill on the Patriots. They're just and especially on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, we have a whole new coaching staff, and I think it's going to be a really fun year. But there's just so many holes to fill all the way around. They filled a lot of the defensive holes, which is great because when you have a young quarterback, you're going to want defense in order to help them out. Without either of those things, it becomes much harder on a Drake May, on a Caleb Williams, on like anybody to really go ahead and make the plays that you want them to make. running back is a big thing for the Patriots, right? I mean, we have Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre Stevenson had fumbling problems last year. This is a huge issue for him, and he kind of cleaned it up. But I mean, it's now every time he touches the ball. I mean, as a fan, you're kind of sitting there and you're like, please don't fumble, please don't fumble, please don't fumble. It's very very like anxiety inducing. And it shouldn't be like that. Your running back shouldn't cause anxiety to coaches. It shouldn't cause anxiety to fans. So if he can hold on to the ball this year, that would be great. If not, do the Patriots need to look at another running back option? I think so. And I think what we've seen in the past with Josh McDaniels and his offenses, it's like a James White type running back. And I know I had read something that the Patriots are looking to draft like a catching running back. I think that Antonio Gibson can do that for you. He can catch, he can be shifty, he can run out, but do they want a little more physical back, or do they want a cheaper back? I don't really know what they're looking at. I don't think you can have enough depth at that position. People twist ankles, they tear ACLs, I mean, so much can happen for a running back. You're trying to shift gears and you plant your foot wrong, and it just you just don't know. So whatever depth they can add there, I think is great. Whatever depth they can add to the receiver position also would be great. They have a brand new grading system, according to Elliott Wolf, so that they didn't get to implement last year. So we're going to see how that works out this year with the new system and with Mike Vrabel and his staff, Josh McDaniels, on that as well, who I trust to run an offense. I think he can. He did it with Mac Jones for a while there. I think that he can make Drake May look really good. The kid already looks good. So they have a lot of holes to fill. As far as the rest of the NFL draft, I mean, I think it's kind of a crapshoot, right? Like which every draft always is, but this year is just very weak. You could go Membu out of, I think he's from Mizzou, if I'm correct. Or you could, I mean, there are just so many different ways. Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas. And it's just, no one's really that hyped about like trading their picks or whatever, or they are hyped about trading their picks so that they can maybe get picks for next year's draft. And I think that if your team, if you're like Cleveland and you're going to go draft Travis Hunter, best player available. That's what you have to go with. That's what winning teams do. It's Travis Hunter. If you're Cleveland, though, how long are you going to go on this train of no quarterback? Can you do it next year, too? Can you do it where you lose enough games where you can get, like, Arch Manning? Or if he comes out next year, I don't even know. If he comes out next year. Or one of the other, like, premier quarterbacks that might come out. Like, can you lose enough games to do that? Maybe you can. I don't know. I think they got Flacco back, if I'm correct. He can win you games. So, and I think Cleveland has a long history of unfortunately losing. So I think they want to win. If I'm a Cleveland fan, I want them to win. I'm tired of them losing all the time. Like this is ridiculous. You have a good defense, that you've built. You've got a good tight end. You've got some good guys there. You're going to want to go ahead and get a quarterback. You're going to want to go ahead and win some games. Really try to be competitive. And as far as the Giants go, I don't know. I think that you have to go best player available because there's just they also have so many holes to fill, I think. They also have a quarterback conundrum. They signed Russell Wilson, but they don't have like the young guy. They don't have their like Drake May. They don't have their Caleb Williams. There is no guy. So are you going to be bad enough next year to get any of those young quarterbacks? Are you going to be bad enough? You might be. I don't know. The Giants have had 2 tough years, and they're bringing the same regime back, which I think made some signings, last offseason here and there, some trades, but I think that they still have lots of work to do. They're not that different from New England in that aspect. There's just a lot of rebuilding that has to be done there. And Tennessee, I don't know. They have veteran guys. They signed, Lord knows they signed all those players away from New England. Like, just in terms of the negotiating table, who were the last 2 teams left? New England, Tennessee. Tennessee was winning those things. So you have Ridley out there. They need a quarterback. Levis can't. I mean, they gave him a season. He just can't really do it. Um, I'm sure. I'm sure he would be fine somewhere else or is as a backup or something, but he just wasn't giving them production that they needed. And they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, who was also out there, who went to Kansas City. Kansas City's going to need to figure out some things. I think that ultimately, they'll be fine, but I kind of hesitate to say that only because they all year I was saying it, they don't look good. They don't look good. They look terrible all season. They got to the Super Bowl, yes. They look bad. That was not a good football team. They were not fun to watch. They were an offensive mess. And Patrick Mahomes is getting older. Is he going to be able to continue to scramble and do stuff like he needs to do? They need to address the tackle position, just like a lot of teams, like New England needs to address the tackle position. That left tackle spot is so valuable. And if you're a good left tackle, like you're going to get paid a lot of money because teams are desperate for good left tackles. They need to protect their investments. They need to protect their quarterbacks. It's going to be a really interesting draft. I mean, that's coming up soon, and I think that there's potential there for, some teams to come out with steals. Every year it happens, right? I mean, Ladd McConkey was awesome. I'm so upset that the Patriots didn't draft him, but I mean, it is what it is. Would he have thrived? Probably not. It was just such a disaster class last year. But, they came out with Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey had a great year for them. Great year. They have success to build off on. Now, they have to Justin Herbert had a tough playoffs. He's got to kind of learn to settle in and learn to be a playoff performer. Houston now is trying to they got rid of some of these people who I think were basically toxic to the locker room. So what's going to kind of happen there? I think that there's a lot of interesting storylines here, and we're going to see what picks some teams decide to do. Could the Browns surprise everyone and go quarterback? Could they go Shedeur Sanders instead? Because they need a quarterback. They need one. It's not even a question. Like, they need one. They could. Would it surprise me? No. It's the Browns. It wouldn't surprise me. But I would be really confused as to why they wouldn't just go Travis Hunter at that point. Best available player is going to be the way you build a team. But I think it's going to be interesting. We're going to see how it goes. There's a lot of different scenarios that's going to go on. Between the NFL draft, we've got the WNBA ramping up. I mean, that first preseason game, I think, is May 2nd. I could be wrong, but I mean, we have so much coming up. We have the WNBA that's going to overlap with the NBA playoffs, and then you're going to have this week of draft, and then you're going to have draft analysis, and then you're going to have rookie mini camp, and then it's going to get kind of quiet. And then around July, you're gonna have some training camp happening and workouts and things like that. So we do get a little bit of NFL quiet. It can feel like a long off season, definitely, but it'll come pretty quickly. August and those preseason games, that Hall of Fame game, that'll come pretty fast. So a lot to really look forward to. I mean, again, the NBA playoffs are here. It's exciting. We've got stars in the WNBA that are waiting to take that next step or that first step if you're one of the rookies who just got drafted. There's so much really cool stuff to look forward to. And we're going to be here. We're going to cover it. I'm excited to be here to join you guys. And thank you so much for listening. I will see you all on the next pod.